I'm sorry to report that the left has taken another American hero.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe the way that the left has taken our cultural touchstones and just perverted, corrupted, and twisted them. What happened this time?
And of course, I'm not talking about a real person. We have no cultural heroes that are real. I mean, we're talking about Superman, of course.
Yes.
Because the left, the Hollywood, corrupt Hollywood, dropped another woke film.
Yeah, truth, justice, in the American way, not anymore. Not in James Gunn's woke universe.
That's right. They took the Superman story and turned it into an immigrant story.
What the fuck is going on?
That doesn't even make sense. He was born and bred in America.
Yeah.
But spoiler warning for the movie, actually.
Man.
Because I kind of fucked with it.
I fucked with it. One, good movie. Go see the movie. It was just a fun time. Just good, solid, felt like a comic book. I was very entertained throughout. Shout out Lex Luthor. But I got to give an even bigger shout out, I guess, to James Gunn. Because in the lead up to this movie, right, it came out on Friday. I was originally planning on waiting until $5 movie Tuesday at my local theater to go see it. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't super excited for it. Not a huge Superman, not a huge DC guy. But I kept seeing Twitter pop off with, it's Superman versus the IDF. It's Superman versus the IDF. It's literally Superman versus Israel, and it's not trying to hide it at all. And I was like, surely they're exaggerating.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious how Superman's just fighting Israel.
Yeah, no, like the first like 2 fucking minutes of the movie, Superman is fighting Israel. Like, it's not subtle at all. It's genuinely not. I thought this was an instance of like, because there are some times where like you get like, I don't know, fucking woke people online take a movie that may have leftist themes, maybe progressive or maybe interpreted that way, and they'll kind of like jack it up a little bit and say like, oh, this is a revolutionary piece of media, blah, blah, blah. It's talking about these things. I thought that's kind of what was happening with Superman. I thought maybe any progressive tone or any real life analogous element was being just astroturfed a little bit. Not at all.
No, not at all. It was literally a U.S. ally in the Middle East invades another country with money coming from the United States, money and arms coming from the United States, on the pretext of liberating the people from their tyranny, when really they just want to exterminate the population. It could not be more obvious that it is just an analogy for Israel.
Yes, like, spoilers, full spoilers, like, up ahead. So skip, I don't know, like fucking 10 minutes until you hear us whine about there being no reviews this week. Spoiler alert for that too, but I digress. Fucking, the movie starts off talking about how Superman's fighting the Hammer of Baravia, blah, blah, blah. He just stopped a war. He just stopped an invasion. And then like 20 minutes later, there's a scene that exists explicitly so that anybody who's trying to say it's not Israel-Palestine can't say that it's not Israel-Palestine. Lois is like interviewing Superman, right? Talking about like a bunch of things, talking about how Baravia has been an ally to the U.S. for 30 years, like super close ties to them. Luthor Corps, it's fucking Superman versus the military-industrial complex. Luthor Corps sends $80 billion of weapons over to them. And they also take the moment to mention that, Giant Boar, the countries that being invaded, not only do we find out later in the movie, it's brown villagers. And villager is obviously like a chosen word there. You know what I'm saying? To further depict the technological imbalance going on here. But she also said Giant Boar hasn't necessarily been a friend to the United States. Hasn't necessarily been good, but it's not right that they're being invaded. It's not right that they're being oppressed in such an obvious way. Yeah.
Well, and in the Lois Lane scene where she's like interviewing him, she is saying like, well, what you did was against international law. You didn't even consult with the leaders. And all he had to say was, well, people were going to die.
Yeah.
Like, it couldn't be a more obvious comparison to real world events in our unwillingness to step in because of the laws and systems we've built around protecting an ally of the United States going in and, doing terrible atrocities.
Like, it's literally right there. It's the text of the film. They just have different names. And it's like, after I saw the movie, one, I went to see it because I was like, this has to be something that we talk about considering the chatter online. And two, I really wanted to watch the Ben Shapiro video. I really wanted to watch that 23-minute Ben Shapiro review of the movie. And oh my God, I was not disappointed in either. I watched the movie, it's gas. I go home and watch the Ben Shapiro review and it's gas, but not because he's making good points.
It's Barbie all over again, dude.
It's insane how these guys just miss the point and refuse to engage with anything beyond aesthetics, because Ben Shapiro's critiques of the movie are Superman should be a propaganda piece for truth, justice, and the American way. It should be a movie that's steeped in Americana, and that's all that it should be. It shouldn't talk about anything else. It shouldn't depict anything else. And in fact, he went the extra mile to say he didn't even want to critique the movie as being like woke because it's so obviously Israel-Palestine. He said, no, it has nothing to do with Israel-Palestine, blah, 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 X, Y, Z doesn't even line up. He just dismissed it on its face because probably like, because like white guy. or some shit like that.
Because it doesn't literally use the name Israel and Palestine.
Because the guy isn't speaking Hebrew and the other guys aren't literally Palestinian. Like, that's why he dismissed the claims that it's not Israel-Palestine.
I know that he is not that illiterate when it comes to media.
But, like, maybe he is. That's why he failed out of Hollywood.
I mean, maybe.
Because we got to consider all these guys are failed Hollywood guys. Ben Shapiro explicitly was like a failed scriptwriter.
But how do you look at that and not see so obviously what it's meant to represent?
Yeah.
Like, it's right in front of your, it's so obvious.
And it's just like, it's such a desperate and pathetic attempt at doing like the old culture war bullshit just in 2025 with the Superman movie, because he's reaching on every single front to make an easy aesthetic critique, but there are none. There really isn't anything that falls into what we've typically thought about with the conservative culture war around movies specifically. It's not a movie that does like the race swaps that right-wingers always complain about. It's not really like woke on the surface in any way. There are no moments where the movie like preaches at you about something other than like, hey guys, let's not kill people. It's like a child's understanding of morality. You can't be mad at that. And if Ben Shapiro knew a goddamn thing about like media criticism and had an ounce of media literacy, I think that there's genuinely a way that you can take this movie and maybe even interpret it through a conservative lens. He was making videos leading up to the release of the movie talking about how James Gunn was talking about how the movie is an immigrant story, which obviously Superman is. I'm not going to contend with that at all.
In the text, he's an immigrant.
He's quite literally an illegal alien.
Yeah.
And there's a line about that in this movie, but that's not what I'm going to contend with here. The movie kind of goes... If this movie is an immigrant story, if that's what it's about, which I kind of reject, then it has a bad message about immigration. Then it's damn near got conservative politics surrounding immigration, because the message ultimately is to assimilate.
Yeah.
Superman even assimilates and becomes a human, and that's why he should be trusted, even though his parents, for some reason in this time, were actually evil and wanted him to rule the earth.
Yeah, even if that's not what the creators of the movie intended with like the twist that they had in the middle of the film about the parents' message and whatnot, that is sort of like the idea behind it.
Yeah.
Is that you have to abandon where you come from and fully assimilate, as you say, into the culture that you find yourself in. Otherwise, you're a threat.
And don't get me wrong, like, it's a fun movie. I still really like the movie. And I even think...
Well, that's why I think it's accidental.
Exactly. I think that's well-intentioned. And I don't think the movie's trying to be like this deep meditative piece. It's obviously not. It's stupid fast-paced. It's just an unfortunate consequence of what's going on. And Ben Shapiro could have latched onto that if he was smart.
He could have latched onto that, or with like the geopolitical stuff, he could have just rejected that it was an allegory at all and said like they're not actually depicting this because Israel does this better than what this what Moravia does, or Israel hasn't said this. And like he could have done an actual comparison, or he could have said that the movie is woke, the Hollywood actors are indoctrinated into like Palestinian ideology or whatever, and they tried to depict a real world conflict, but they failed at doing so because they're woke.
He could have literally
he just rejected that the comparison was there at all.
Yeah, he could have literally gone on to say that this is an anti-Zionist movie. He could have said this is an anti-Semitic film for the way that it's depicting something that's so obviously Israel.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why he didn't even want to go in that direction. Maybe because his audience would rake him over the coals for it, like they have been when he talks about this issue. But man, it's so interesting to see a guy who was on top of the world back when race swaps were the #1 thing in Hollywood, only talking about that fake issue, not being able to transition into 2025.
Yeah, back when he could talk about like Black Little Mermaid.
Yep.
And even when he did the Barbie analysis that Ben Shapiro did was completely incoherent.
Oh, of course.
Just the entire I watched like the entire 45-minute video because it was so phenomenal. But at least back then, like it seemed like he was sort of hitting a stride, but this just falls flat, man. It's like he's not even trying anymore.
It's like he didn't even watch the fucking movie. And then there was another part of his review that I found just genuinely astonishing, because guys like Ben Shapiro, when it comes to like talking about movies and even cementing themselves within the culture war as being somebody who people come to for their opinion about culture, has pushed the idea relentlessly that liberals and Hollywood elites are incredibly out of touch with the average everyday American. Yet in Ben Shapiro's Superman review, there's a moment where he talks about how Ma and Pa Kent in this movie are like bumbling idiots and nobody acts like that. Motherfucker, how Ma and Pa Kent acted in this movie is how like every third person I've ever interacted with in my childhood living in the Midwest is.
No, yeah, like
they're just the most regular people.
I'm not from Kansas. I'm not from the South, but I've interacted with many people like that.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make them a bumbling idiot. They just have an accent and they're regular folks.
Literally. Like Ma and Pa Kent in this movie were just good, well-meaning people. And he took issue with that because he said they weren't depicted as being noble. You want Ma and Pa Kent to sit there and just be like, I don't know, stoics?
Yeah. like philosophers.
Every criticism of this movie was just aesthetic.
Yeah.
And that's all they can do. And it ties into all these things that we talk about with like Alligator Alcatraz being just aesthetically cruel. The mass deportations just being, again, aesthetically cruel. That's all that the conservative cares about. There's no substance in anything that they say at all, ever.
Yeah.
The villains of this movie were the military industrial complex, Stephen Miller, if he was actually smart, and Netanyahu.
Yeah. Or Jeff Bezos, or substitute whichever billionaire you think is evil. Yeah, exactly. No, I thought it was a pretty good movie all around. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I had a good time.
Lex Luthor is a model of how the Democrats should be acting right now. There's a scene in this movie where Lex Luthor is taking a tour through his fucking pocket dimension, and he shows us this just like server rack of monkeys that he's got just putting Superman hate out in the world. That's goofy as hell, and I rock with it.
I should be paid to be one of those monkeys. I should be paid to be one of those monkeys on the keyboard.
Should give me some of that white guy money.
No, there was no point in this film where Lex Luthor wasn't a hater.
He took every single. He was like the Zoran of being evil and hating Superman. Yeah. He knew everything about Superman, so much so that he made a fucking clone of Superman, albeit a little contrived, but like I rock with that. That was the part of the movie Lex Luthor hates him. Oh my God, that's how the Democrats need to act.
And it played into like the obsession and whatnot. Like he was so obsessed that he made a clone to go attack Superman and whatnot. But yeah, no, I need Democrats on that. And Superman didn't take out Lex Luthor, right? Lex Luthor survives through the end of the film. So we know he'll be back to do more hating next time.
And I can't wait for it.
I can't wait for
that wide angle close up right on his bald ass head, man. It's so good. Yeah. It's so good.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's Monday, July 14th, and we're here talking about Epstein.
We're still talking about Epstein. It's crazy. I can't believe you guys are like still on about this guy.
It's crazy. Like, I don't want to have to be talking about this today, but it's your fault.
Fucking Epstein, the guy that never dies. You know what I'm saying?
He's become immortal.
You can just never get rid of this guy. Everybody wants to talk about Epstein, yada, yada.
Only extreme leftists care about this issue. But this week we'll be talking about Epstein, of course. We'll be talking a little bit about ICE and their declining popularity. And also what they're up to at career fairs.
It's not good.
It's not good whatsoever. It is not good at all. But before we get into all that, I'll remind you to please become a patron. Please.
We're begging. We're begging. And you know what? This isn't just for us.
It's not.
It's for you guys too. Yeah, because if you do become a patron at least the $5 tier, sign up for the postcard program. 1, you get a poster.
Big.
And 2.
Oh, postcard, not a poster.
Postcard, heavy on that. If you become a patron and we hit our next goal, which is publicly posted, you can see everything we got. You can see everything you're giving to us. Now all the people that are getting postcards will also get stickers.
Yeah. That's big.
That's cool.
Every unique design every single month. Unique postcard.
Every other month. Every other month.
Oh, yeah, every other month. Goddamn, we're fucking up our own programs here. Okay, just to reiterate, there's a postcard program. Every other month, you get a postcard, not a poster.
Yes.
And if we hit the goal every other month, at the time we send out the postcards, you will also get a sticker in the envelope with the postcard.
And the postcards are cool. The postcards are cool because you get them in the mail and you smile a little bit when you see them, and you probably put them on your wall and you make like a little Hiddo shrine. You know what I'm saying? But to sweeten the deal a little bit extra with some stickers, now you can put that on your laptop. Postcards you can't really take with you and show your friends. And I know a lot of you like to go around and tell all your friends about the good gospel we have over here at this show. Yeah. Like to tell your family, like to tell everybody and whatnot. You can put the sticker on a water bottle, put the sticker on a laptop, and it's always with you.
Put it on your blue collar hard hat.
Yes, sir. Yes, I know we have some of you.
I know. I saw a Hiddo head that did that with the Pride sticker that
sick.
We were selling last month.
I know we have some of you in the military too. Put that shit on your service weapon.
Absolutely, like it's Black Ops. You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? Yeah, get us to that goal. Our numbers are all public, so you'll be able to take a look at that if you want to. But also, you can get some merch. Headintheoffice.com. It's down there for you. All of our links are in the description, and we always appreciate the support.
Yes, we do.
We do.
It's a wonderful time. And speaking of support, another way, a great way, a lovely way that you can come support this show every single week is by leaving a 5-star review.
That would be beautiful.
And Jeremy, tell me how many we have today.
None.
That's right. I already fucking let you guys know. We got no 5-star reviews today.
0. Can you believe it?
I can't.
I frankly can't believe it. Just like I can't believe that they cut 1 minute of footage out of the Epstein tapes. And I guess this sort of leads us into the news because we have no fucking reviews to read. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
We're on video on Spotify. Leave us a comment on Spotify, by the way.
Now there's no buffer from us shamelessly plugging ourselves to talking about the important issues of the day.
Yeah, we will be. But if you're watching on Spotify, because again, video on Spotify now,
yes,
where the plurality or maybe just outright majority of our listeners are, leave us a comment.
Leave us a comment.
You can comment on Spotify.
Maybe you can comment long enough to leave a review too, or condense a review if you're a Spotify listener who's desperately wanted to have us read your review, but you can't.
Feel free to drop a comment on the Spotify with a 5-star review.
And then harass us about us not seeing them, because I got to get better at going and looking at the Spotify comments.
Yeah. So maybe you can do that. Anyways, we have some tragedy to cover here.
Yes.
Because over the last few weeks, there's been a tragedy unfolding, and it is the tragedy of Trump's voters unfortunately getting exactly what they voted for, but not being aware that that's what they voted for.
No, which is just a position I can't believe that people are in after the advocacy that many people did over the election cycle, talking about how Trump is going to do exactly what he's been doing. And in some cases, he's doing it worse than what anybody could have predicted.
Yep.
There's nothing that Trump has got in and done like better or in a more measured way than I expected.
Yeah, there's lots of people saying that when I voted for Trump, I didn't vote for him to conceal the Epstein files. And to that I say, yes, you did. Explicitly, yes, you did.
There's like there's pictures of the guys.
There's pictures of them together. We know that Trump was friends with Epstein for a long time.
There's pictures of him with the boys and sometimes the gals.
Yeah, Epstein like called him his best friend or some shit like that. Like they were obviously they lived like down the road from each other in Florida for a while. He
called Ghislaine Maxwell like a good friend or something like that.
Yeah,
and he wishes her well during her trial.
Yeah, he said, "Well, her boyfriend just died." Like, obviously.
And now he's saying her boyfriend just killed himself.
I don't understand how anybody was tricked into thinking that Donald Trump would be the guy to reveal the Epstein file. Epstein died during Trump's first presidency.
Yeah.
Or died, quote unquote, right? Died, killed himself, whatever narrative you want to believe.
Like he had the opportunity to unseal all of that.
Yeah.
Like at the end. He could have done it on his way out too as one final act to drain the swamp. But he never was going to because he's been in it. In fact, he might be one of the most guys in it.
Yeah. He's deep in it. He's a member of the swamp. And I think some people are maybe starting to realize that, but I'm never going to count on the logical or moral consistency of right-wingers when we're talking about this stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? But anyways, we mentioned a few episodes ago, sort of as an aside, because we didn't have a full coverage topic on it, but we mentioned that the Trump administration has been refusing to make the Epstein files public. And then they recently claimed, about a week ago or so at this point, that there is no client list whatsoever. After Pam Bondi a few months ago said, the client list is on my desk waiting to be published.
Sitting on my desk, I'm ready to release it. They did this whole dog and pony show about releasing the Epstein files. They invited Chai Rychik, DC Drano, all of the worst people imaginable that came up on Twitter, the worst platform, well, X, the worst platform imaginable. They brought them to the White House. It made a whole stink about giving them these files, only to give them sheets of paper with black lines on literally everything. Like, that alone should have been a bigger stink than it was. And it was already a pretty big stink, but like that, the audacity there.
And the fact that after that, I think it was the House Judiciary Twitter like rickrolled everybody. So like, here's the real Epstein files.
Yeah.
That should have like been the flag right there. But then Elon Musk had to talk about it, and then people kind of freaked out about it. And then Trump himself now had to say, like, obviously there's nothing here. And you guys should stop talking about it. I don't know why everyone's still talking about it.
Which is just like insane.
Like, why is everybody long?
Why is everybody talking about the pedophile island that I visited? Why is everybody talking about Pedophile Island, something that should be like in an absurd like serial, like absurd TV show? Why
is everybody talking about one of the most horrific criminal schemes in the last several decades that implicate a lot of world leaders?
Yes.
Like, why is everyone still talking about this? It's kind of ridiculous.
It is kind of ridiculous. I can't believe this is a problem on Americans' minds.
Yeah.
And it's also like even beyond Trump, like officials with him campaigning on this, like his whole thing was draining the swamp. If you thought that releasing the Epstein list and giving people clarity on which elected officials they may have even supported or whatever were on the list, then like you're lost.
Yeah.
Like that the Epstein list is the pinnacle of what the swamp is. Literally, that's what these people believe. And if you thought you could get away with not releasing it or trying to sweep it under the rug in such a haphazard fashion with no thought behind it, is kind of crazy.
When explicitly, like, his base has been empowered in part by this theory, like this, and it's not even really a conspiracy theory. It is in the way that they talk about.
Yeah.
But like, they've been empowered by this controversy, and part of the reason, I mean, a lot of people built careers off of the fact that the Epstein files hadn't been released people like Alex Jones, people like DC Drano and whatnot, Jack Posobiec have been talking for years about how we need to release the Epstein files, and then Trump doesn't do it. Like, what the fuck did you expect?
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. But most recently, Trump was crashing out on Truth Social. And he published an instant classic for him.
So fucking good, man.
Platinum no features. Platinum no features from Trump. He said, quote, "What's going on with my boys? And in some cases, gals. They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We are on one team, MAGA. I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it. All over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein."
Insane work on this one. You know he wrote this himself. Yeah. This came right from his thumbs, man.
Yeah, and then skipping ahead a little bit, it was a very long Truth post. Quote, "Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein."
Didn't he go on to say that like Hillary Clinton and Obama are the one that wrote the Epstein list anyway?
Yes.
Which is an
admission.
Post.
Which is an admission that the client list exists.
Yeah.
After his attorney general said no, it doesn't.
Well, it exists, but it's fake. And Jeffrey Epstein never dies. Like I just let him die. Like he killed himself.
It exists, or it doesn't exist. But if it did exist, they would have my name, and that's because Barack Obama wrote it.
Exactly. Yeah, they were doing it to set me down, and also like blah blah blah.
Yeah, and apparently Epstein's like a left-wing issue now. He said it's a radical left issue.
Yeah, thanks for giving me that one.
Yeah, that's an easy layup.
That's an insane thing to just pass off to me.
Very easy layup. Of course, it's a prime example of you made your bed, now you have to lay in it, right? Like the entire Republican Party for the last decade has relied on conspiracy theories, things like Pizzagate, to get themselves elected. They've sort of captured that fervor and translated it in some form into a political movement. And of course, again, like the Epstein stuff isn't really a conspiracy theory in the same way, but there's a lot of conspiracism around it that Republicans have taken advantage of. And now that Trump's not doing the thing that, in part, they elected him to do, they're getting angry about it.
It's so crazy, once again, just like how, I guess, integrated Epstein was with powerful people. So much so that, like, we can't know who was actually on the pedophile island. Because, like, yeah, what was going on at Little St. James? There was, like, some of it was snorkeling.
Yeah.
Some of it was people going and not knowing about the pedophile stuff and just like having meetings with a guy who was known to be a power broker. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of it was the pedophile island stuff. Yeah. And we'll just never know.
Well, that's why it's so laughable that Ghislaine Maxwell gets hit with like sex trafficking charges, right? Like, because her whole case was she was trafficking people and grooming them to be trafficked to Jeffrey Epstein. But like that's it.
But yeah, that's it. And then it just like stops.
Jeffrey Epstein, the person who had connections to like every powerful person in the world, just wasn't like she was only trafficking to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah,
it's just so fucking improbable.
Like, we have the flight logs. Like we know people who at least have like gone to the island. Like so many people have gone to the island. It's just people want to know who the pedophiles are. Mm-hmm. People want to know who the people who were systemically and just. I don't even know how else to say it, who are sexually abusing children are. People just want to know.
That's not a crazy thing to ask.
It's not, like, especially when these people end up becoming the most powerful people in the world.
We want truth and justice and like consequences for the people who did something wrong here.
Yeah.
And I've always been of the opinion that I don't care who you implicate criminally. If they're involved in the case, if they did something bad, send them to jail. Bill Clinton, he can send him to jail.
Go for it.
Ghislaine Maxwell was at Bill Clinton's daughter's wedding. Like, I don't like fucking send him to jail. I don't care.
Like, I'm not married to any of these people. I don't like hero worship any of these people, especially like the fucking neoliberals that were implicated in this.
Yeah, no, I don't give a fuck.
Tell me who the pedophiles are, send them to jail, and then we can start over. And then maybe we can have a Democratic Party that's actually good.
I think Noam Chomsky at one point was on a flight log for Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. And like, look, dude. If he's got to go to jail, he's got to go to jail.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
If he's on that list, then he's on that list. You know what I'm saying? If he's on the list, he's on that list. And that's kind of the end of that conversation.
Yeah. I'm choosing to believe that he was just around Jeffrey Epstein because of the power brokerage type shit. But look, you know, if he did something bad, send him to jail.
We can never know.
We can never know.
Because now they're hiding the list. Now they're covering up the list. And fuck, they're hiding the prison videos from us because they dropped that prison video with a minute. They called it the raw footage with a minute of footage just not in there anymore. Mm-hmm. People were obviously going to catch on to that because it's got the fucking timestamps on there, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's just like a thing they do. That's just a thing prison cameras do."
They think we're so fucking stupid.
You're telling me 7-Eleven can record like 24/7 video forever, but the prison can't?
CCTV footage lasts forever, dude.
But you're telling me that the prison that's holding one of the most prolific sex traffickers, if not the most prolific child sex trafficker ever, implicated with the most powerful people ever, you're telling me we didn't have tight security on that one?
And this doesn't even like the footage itself doesn't have anything to do with if the client list exists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he killed himself or if he didn't, like that's sort of besides the point when we're talking about the existence of evidence that would implicate other people in Epstein's child sex trafficking crimes.
It's crazy because like the conspiracy portion of like Jeffrey Epstein isn't the pedophile island. Like that's known and litigated.
Yes.
We just don't know who was on the pedophile island. Although we have some pretty good guesses, the conspiracy is whether or not he killed himself. And that's not even a fucking conspiracy.
Yeah.
You're not showing me the footage.
Yeah.
You're not showing me the footage. And then there's a Wired article that dropped talking about how they noticed like 4 instances when they looked at the metadata of the video being edited. Like explicitly somebody went in and edited this shit using like Premiere Pro or DaVinci. Brother, that's a cut, delete, put together and merge.
It's an immediate admission of guilt.
Come on.
Like obviously, we obviously know what you're doing here.
And they're never going to release it.
And it's like even if there isn't a client list, like there's a literal spreadsheet with like name, address, thing that they did with child. You know what I mean? There's at least enough evidence that you could compile and get a client list, and that's what people are talking about. You should release.
And like there are dudes that go around and talk about having like seen pictures and stuff that are like classified now of like powerful people doing bad stuff with minors. I was just listening to like the Majority Report on the way here. Kyle Kalinske was on talking about how there's been reporting of, I think Trump's labor secretary talking about how he's seen pictures of Trump with like women that are of questionable age, like on the island and stuff. Like this shit exists. It's just so swept under the rug because everybody in power. This is a uniparty issue.
Well, and like Trump has had a history of saying weird shit about young people.
Oh yeah,
like young women specifically,
especially at beauty pageants,
girls,
talking about going in and watching them change and whatnot.
Yeah, weird shit about his own daughter. Like that. Like I think the evidence is there, and we should release the list.
He also has an alleged history of sexual abuse.
That's true. That is true. But away from Trump and like the Republican response on this, or you know, we can still tie that in. But like every single Democrat should be hammering home on this issue.
Like he gave it to us.
If any Democrat is not, or is even going so far as Richie Torres has said, in saying that like this is a distraction from like the big beautiful bill, you should be jettisoned from the party. Like we should shoot you out of a rocket.
Saying this is a distraction from the big beautiful bill is like insane.
Yeah.
Because one, like obviously people can focus on multiple things at once. But like the big beautiful bill already passed.
Yep.
The big beautiful bill passed. There's literally nothing you can do about it now. You specifically, Richie Torres, weren't really doing anything to stop its passage other than voting no. You weren't getting on the ground. You weren't doing the messaging work. You weren't doing anything useful at all ever with your position of power. But like this is huge. You've been given literally a layup by Donald Trump himself saying that Epstein is your issue. You ought to dunk it.
Well, and it's like the Republican base and Donald Trump did this to themselves. Democrats had nothing to do with this like fissure or sort of wedge that's being driven between Trump and his voter base. It's just there. It's just like an obvious opening that has been opened for you. Why would you not exploit it when your enemy has made such an obvious mistake?
Never stop your enemy from making a mistake.
Exactly.
Shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's also
art of war.
Exactly. Democrats constantly talk about doing things to appeal to the right-wing moderate voter to win things like a national general election. And the things that they talk about are, I don't know, being Republican to appeal to Republicans to get them to vote for you. You have been given a prime opportunity to not only not be a Republican and get Republicans to vote for you, but hop on one of the biggest issues of the decade. And just have that be yours.
Yeah, you know how many hits like a Democrat would get if they just come out and said like, yeah, Trump's implicated in the Epstein files, that's why he won't release them.
You know how many
John Ossoff did that recently.
Oh my God, you know how many hits a Democrat would get if they said, yeah, Trump and Bill Clinton are implicated.
Well, and that's the other thing is like some Democrats are just bad at messaging. That's why they're not harping on this. Others have donors that are tied to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Or they're hearing from like party bosses that if you start talking about this, Bill Clinton will be mad at you. Because again, Ghislaine Maxwell, after Epstein was outed as like trying to solicit sex from a teenager in like 2009 or whatever, the Clintons had Ghislaine Maxwell at Chelsea Clinton's wedding,
which is insane.
Like these people, it's like publicly documented. We know the connections that these people had with each other, and so it motivates a lot of Democrats to not say anything and to pretend like it's not a real issue because more information coming out would hurt people like Bill Clinton.
Am I tripping, or did Alan Dershowitz get like a position and Trump won? Like, was Alan Dershowitz involved?
Trump's personal lawyer, I think.
Well,
that was Rudy. Rudy. Alan Dershowitz was around, though.
He was definitely. Like,
I think he defended Trump during the impeachment stuff.
That's probably what it was. But yeah, Dershowitz, famous for defending Jeffrey Epstein in 2005.
Yeah, to this day.
To this day, too. Yeah, he said something a couple weeks ago, man. What a guy that is. But fuck, dude. And it's like there has been such a fire lit under like so many Trump voters. There were a lot of videos just going viral this week of Trump voters burning their Make America Great Again hats, which is like, One, yeah, they set themselves up for this. Two, it's kind of crazy to me that like this was like the straw.
That was the other thing for me. Yeah,
like that's the broader critique here is like this was like the thing that like got you. I'm not saying that Epstein isn't a big deal. I obviously think that Epstein is a huge deal. I've always talked about it like it's a huge deal, but like the more like that's harm that has happened. There's harm that's like actively happening, and there's harm that was just legislated to happen in the future that Trump could be mad about. But
Trump and the Republican Party are about to kick like 17 million people off of their healthcare over the next 10 years.
And make your insurance more expensive.
Trump directed FEMA to use FEMA money to build a concentration camp in Florida. Trump is like actively increasing tensions in the Middle East, maybe preparing us for another war.
Yeah.
And this is the thing you draw the line at? Like, I'm glad that you care about it because I think it's important. But why don't you care about any of the other things that arguably will have a higher, like, you know, pain or death or harm total?
Yeah.
That Trump is actively doing with the party.
Like, it's kind of crazy, but I mean, shit, I'll take it if I can get it.
Yeah,
you know
whatever,
what I mean?
whatever.
But it was wild to me because I went on r/conservative on my usual prowl to see what was going on, expecting to see just various amounts of cope, fell for it again awards, blah, 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 all over the place. But no, the conservative, r/conservative is a cesspool of the worst people in the world gathering to share the worst ideas that they can possibly come up with and jerk each other off about it being good. But they actually came out and said, like, this is unacceptable. Every single post or comment that was talking about, like, oh, no, blah, 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 Trump's not on the Epstein list, you guys are falling for it again, blah, 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 downvoted to hell.
Yeah, it's only unacceptable, not because they're principled about the issue, but because they've hitched so much of their political ideology to this one specific issue because they thought it would be a gotcha against Democrats.
They've hinged their identity on this one specific issue and this one specific guy. Because what this does, other than just being bad because Trump is covering up the Epstein list, is also, I think this has finally got into a lot of conservatives' heads that Trump isn't the guy that's going to drain the swamp. In fact, Trump is the swamp himself.
Yeah.
And those are comments that I was seeing from people. They're like, oh my God, he's not draining the swamp. He is the swamp. It's crazy.
Like, why didn't you fucking know that before? These people are, I think that if you looked at this Jeffrey Epstein news, if you looked at the news of Trump not releasing the client list, I think you are legitimately stupid if you got fooled into thinking that he would ever actually release it.
Yeah.
Like, I think less of you as a person.
Oh, no, Trump was never going to release it.
No.
Never in my mind did I ever think that Trump, or damn near anybody in the next, like, 10 years, should they be an establishment figure, was ever going to release anything close to what the Epstein client list is, was ever going to tell anybody what any of the pedophiles were, because they have, like, a secret pedophile pact.
Exactly, yeah.
They all got together and they're like, guys, we can't release this, and they probably had a drink and then went their separate ways, and like Chuck Schumer in the Senate gym.
That's common knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, that's how this shit operates. It's not a secret.
What the craziest part about this is just, like, the boldness that they dismissed it, because I expected Trump to quietly ignore the situation, maybe release another Epstein file thing, maybe not do it, but just like kind of just let it mull over with everybody.
Or do the thing he always does when he makes a massive fucking mistake, pin it all on one person and fire them and then move on.
Yep.
Because like he could have pinned all of this. Same thing he's doing like with JD Vance, although JD Vance won't get fired. JD Vance had the job of selling the one big beautiful bill. Trump basically didn't talk about it except when he was like, Republicans should vote for this.
Yeah.
Pin the worst thing for you politically on somebody else in your administration and then go deal with other shit.
He could have said this was all on Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
And like, why not? She sucks. Like,
Yeah.
she's kind of awful.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And it's insane. The political instinct here is just non-existent.
I don't fucking understand how people legitimately got tricked by this, and I think it is altogether very silly if you ever thought Trump would live up to this promise. He didn't even really make the promise. To be fair, It wasn't ever really Trump that said he wanted to do it. He said it a few times when he was like explicitly asked, would you release the Epstein files? And he was always had a weird answer about it, but it was everybody around him that talked about releasing the Epstein files. It was people like JD Vance. It was people explicitly like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Oh, heavy on Dan Bongino.
And now Dan Bongino's considering leaving the administration, by the way. But like,
yeah, and now like apparently they're fighting in these closed door meetings like every day, and he's getting ready to walk.
Well, Dan Bongino's a podcaster.
Yeah,
like solidarity. You know what I mean? Like he wants.
I got to stand with my brother.
Podcasters believe in real things. You know what I mean? But no, it was everyone around Donald Trump that had been pushing this conspiracy, which helped him get elected, which sort of consolidated a base of support around them. And now people are shocked that he's not doing what he said he would do.
And it's like, even if we go back to the Democrats, right? Like, one, I already don't have much faith that the Democrats are going to be able to hammer Trump specifically on this issue, despite the layup that they've just been given. But more broadly, it would be important to implicate all conservatives in this, because Trump is gone after these 4 years, hopefully, most likely. And we need to be able to carry this over to every conservative is like this. It's not just Trump. It's not just Trumpism. And that's just a broader critique of the Democrats that they're doing. They're doing the thing where they talk about MAGA, not conservatism, so that they can still keep their same donors from like DTE or some shit.
Well, and that's the thing is like what Democrats should be doing is saying first and foremost, like Trump won't release it because he's implicated in the crimes. Like that should be the argument. But also that conservatives won't do it because their donors are all implicated in the crimes.
But then they can't do it because they're donors.
And that's the problem is that like Democrats are still going to be protecting their own donors or their own political elites, which are also implicated in the crimes because that's what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And unless they're willing to part with all of those people, nothing's going to change. And on top of that, they would have to answer the question of like, okay, Biden was in office. He didn't release the files. Why not? And the answer is because if he did, it would hurt his buddies.
Yeah.
Like, it's established. We need someone who is willing to go out against the establishment in this case, and so few Democrats are.
And it's also, it's just funny to me, all the people for all these years who were saying if Trump was on the Epstein list, then Joe Biden and the Democrats would have released it because it would have taken him down.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could say the same thing about Trump when he was in office and when he's in office right now. If Trump isn't on the Epstein list, why isn't he releasing him?
Yeah.
Why isn't he releasing it?
Yeah.
You think Trump or any of these people who are on the Epstein list actually give a shit about re-victimizing the victims? They victimized them in the first place. Like, it's as simple as that. You know what I'm saying?
You don't got to release the names of the victims.
Nobody wants the names of the victims released. Nobody wants anything to do with any of the victims released. We just want the people who did the victimizing to be released and, importantly, held accountable.
And the other thing I've been seeing is like, well, we can't release all of this evidence because there's like footage of people being abused. And it's like, yeah, okay.
Don't release that.
Don't release the footage. Tell me who's doing the abusing.
Exactly.
Like,
you don't have to show me the video. In fact, I don't want to see the video.
No, of course not.
It's a bad video. You should get rid of it. But man, it's ridiculous.
You know what one of my favorite activities is?
What?
Reading.
Oh, I love reading. I love literature.
And one of my favorite things to read are the reviews we get on Apple Podcasts.
Always.
Not only do I love to read them, but it's a really great way to support the show. If you want to help us out, go and leave a 5-star review on Apple. As always, we read them here on the show. And if you want to make me happy, if you want to become my non-parasocial friend,
that's right.
One step on the 1,000 steps that it takes to get there is to leave a 5-star review on Apple. We'd really appreciate it.
Just remember, my friendship, it's for sale. And if you want to become one of my friends, you can go to the Patreon, or completely for free, you can leave a review on Apple. And even if you don't want to become my friend, don't you want to see another human smile?
Exactly. So consider leaving a review on Apple. It really helps out the show. It's a free way to do it. And you'll be one step closer to being a real friend of ours.
Exactly. Now with that, back to the episode. Going back to like conservatives freaking out about this, and this being the one issue that I guess the one straw that broke the camel's back.
Yep.
We had the people on r/conservative, I guess converting, seeing the light a little bit and thinking maybe Trumpism isn't the right thing. But the more important group to focus on, the more important group that Democrats have been focusing on are the podcasters.
Us.
Once again, solidarity with my brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's just like with the proletarians.
Yes.
They may not all agree on everything, share the same religion, but there's one thing that binds them, and that's being a member of the working class.
It's the microphone.
But for us, the one thing that binds us is being behind a microphone and a camera.
That's right.
And that's important.
Having thoughts and thinking people want to hear them.
Behind the mic in front of the camera, you get what I'm saying.
Yes. And we're a very important group.
And I stand with all podcasters.
I do.
And their rights as podcasters.
And especially when podcasters see the light, right? Because we have the like podcast bros that the DNC, like all the conversation around Joe Rogan have left, yada, yada, it's been done to death. Yeah. Andrew Schultz is one of these guys that exists in like this podcast bro sphere that exists as a regular dude, oftentimes like a comedian that's looking not even like that funny, but like whatever.
He's not that funny. He's not that.
And they have a wide audience of young men that they influence. And Andrew Schultz is one of these guys that platformed Trump and got on there talking about how Trump is good and he's going to vote for Trump. He likes his policies and whatever.
Well, he said Trump is cool because he fucks.
Trump is cool because he fucks and has multiple baby mamas. That's what he said.
Yeah, like almost verbatim.
Literally, not verbiage I use. Yeah, verbiage like, this guy uses.
Democrats are lame, and like to an extent, I agree. Democrats probably could be like a bit more sex positive and have a bit more sauce, but it's not. It doesn't really have anything to do with like, you know, fucking literally. It has to do with just, you know, not being corny and being a cool guy.
But it's also just
cool
crazy
person.
To be a white guy talking about how it's cool that Trump has multiple baby mamas when if that was Obama, you'd be freaking out.
That's true.
And maybe Andrew Schultz wouldn't be freaking out about it, but it's just when you use that verbiage, it's very racially coded and whatever.
You sound like a teenager.
You sound like a teenager.
Maybe in this instance, rather than like the audience taking on the characteristics of the creator, it's the creator taking on the characteristics of the audience.
Maybe we need to sound more like teenagers teenagers so we can get some of that DNC money.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
Not a bad idea.
But either way, I digress. Andrew Schulz is a guy that exists in the sphere of podcasts that influences young men that the DNC wants to study very bad. What does he think about this whole Epstein file situation? I'm going to play you a clip from his podcast, Flagrant, where they're talking about what's going on and how they ultimately almost regret their vote for Trump now.
I mean, like, you see what your boy's doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for.
Yeah.
I want him to stop the wars. He's funding them. I want him to shrink spending, reduce the budget. He's increasing it. It's like everything that he said he's going to do, except sending immigrants back. And now he's even flip-flopped on that, which I kind of like. But he's like, oh, well, we kind of need the people working in restaurants, and we need our farmers. It's like everything that he said that he was going to do that he campaigned
Well, he
really
said to
hard
us,
on.
which was important, and I thought it was good. He pressed him on it. Well, you got to start with the criminals in terms of deporting. I don't even know if the criminals are getting sent back. I know there's a lot of people with green cards getting sent back. There's people who aren't criminals getting sent back. I don't know if you're sending back the criminals first. You're definitely not doing it first. I don't know if you're sending them back at all. So nothing has happened.
We've been telling you this.
Yeah, part of it's like, okay, fine, I'll take it. Like, whatever.
Yeah, I'll take it. But it's like interesting that like it took the Epstein files, because I'm pretty sure this conversation happened around like a conversation about the Epstein files. That's why it's been popping off this week. And it's like it took the Epstein files and that whole situation to get you to then think, yeah, maybe this whole migrant situation is bad too. Like, why was it people turning on Epstein is what gave you the permission to go and then say, yeah, actually, I am uncomfortable with the way that Trump's been handling deportations?
Like, at what point can we demand accountability for people making political decisions and then sharing those decisions with their audience when those decisions are so obviously stupid?
Yeah.
Like, Trump was saying he was going to deport 20 million people. If you run the math on that real quick, that is every immigrant times 2 living in the United States undocumented right now. He said that immigrants were poisoning the blood of the country. If you had just fucking listened to what he said on an issue like immigration, you would have known that it'd be a fucking disaster. But it took until now for you to say something conveniently after he's unpopular because of this Epstein stuff.
Which is just insane.
It's just like, at what point can we tell these people that they're just dumb and should be smarter?
No, literally heavy on that. Because it's like we had also talked about like that 20 million number, which was sometimes 30 million, reposted by these guys on Twitter and sometimes like state officials, was to achieve that goal would have always necessitated them doing smash and grabs at Home Depots. And people had been talking about that the entire election cycle. But guys like this were too obtuse to notice it because they thought, oh, I'm going to get like tax cuts and that's cool. So I'm going to tell my base, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And now that they see that the winds are starting to shift and more people are uncomfortable with the mass deportation effort, now they finally get in and say that like, yeah, I guess it's bad. He should have been going for the criminals. But they're still stuck on this framing of like going for the criminals. They still drank the Kool-Aid. They still fundamentally believe in the false premise that there are so many illegal alien criminals that have come over the border to like kill your daughter.
Yeah, and like I can sort of excuse it when it comes to like a working class voter that doesn't have that much time to pay attention to politics, right?
Yeah.
Like I think there still should be some accountability. You should still tell them like, hey dog, this is a dumb fucking idea and your vote was wrong. But I think that there's a little bit more wiggle room there because a lot of people just don't pay attention to politics this much. The Flagrant podcast had Trump as a fucking guest.
Yes.
You had him in front of you and you fell for all of the lies, or you are just actively lying to your audience about what you actually believe. Which is it? Because neither makes you look very fucking good.
When you have access to politicians and a platform with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of listeners, I think you should be held to a bit higher standard than like a regular guy. And that's the crux of the issue. Like these people, Andrew Schulz, because he had this platform, because he had this access to Trump, and because he had these positions and drank the fucking Kool-Aid and believed the lies that Trump said, was able to help get Trump elected. And now he's like, oh yeah, this isn't actually what I voted for. This is what Trump said he was going to do.
It was explicitly what you voted for.
Honestly, Trump, the framing was always illegal immigrants are coming here to do crime, but it was never that he was just going to get the criminals. There was always just we're going to get everybody out of here.
Just fucking run the math, dude. Like, it's right fucking there. Every single time he was like 20 million, 30 million. Every single time he's like, I'd put a 200% tariff, 300% tariff. He did exactly what he said he was going to do, or he has at least tried on a lot of these issues. But the only time they actually get mad at him is about this Epstein stuff. And that, I mean, I guess, like, again, I'll take it. Like, go after the divide when you can. If there's a split within the base, then you should exploit it as much as you can. But it's just crazy to see people with a platform try so little when it comes to, like, I don't know, engaging with politics when they have millions of people watching them every week.
It's like it's not like I'm trying to sit here and say like I don't rock with people seeing the light, because like I do. You know, I ultimately believe in rehabilitative justice. I believe that these podcasters could reform and do whatever. Those are my brothers and sisters, and I stand in solidarity with them. But like, it's just so wickedly irresponsible, and I'm so cynical that they actually care.
Yeah.
And that it's not just a play to like recapture more audience, or they've seen the way that the winds are blowing and want to hop on the wave before everybody else does.
Yeah.
Everything feels cynical. None of when these guys step into the ring and give their opinions about politics is actually because they like genuinely care. They just think either the bad politics are going to help them, or when the bad politics maybe won't help them, or even sometimes they do, but they're going to be bad PR, then they'll stop publicly supporting the bad politics. The fact of the matter is like they already helped get Trump elected. Now we're not even in an election year, we're in an off year. Is he going to continue this in 2026 when it comes to actually doing the work of getting people to vote for not the Republicans? Or is it going to be the same old song and dance where it's, oh, we have a new Republican firebrand coming up in fucking Wisconsin 7, and they're actually not like Trump, and they're actually saying all the things that Trump said, but they're actually going to do it this time, so I'm going to still vote for them because I don't like the Democrats. They're lame and they don't have baby mamas.
There's no underlying principle here.
No.
I think that they just got some blowback from their audience, so they decided to shift a little bit, or they looked out and saw something and they're like, oh, that's weird, maybe I should like backtrack a little bit. But it's nothing principle. That's all just like public facing symbolism. It doesn't mean anything, and they will switch up again and support Trump later on if they can.
It's like I feel like a party pooper for coming in here and being like, oh, Andrew Schultz said he doesn't like the immigrant thing anymore. But it's like, once again, ultimately, it just boils down to like, I wouldn't treat a regular person like that. But when you have a platform, you have responsibility.
When you have a platform that fucking big.
Like, we have a much smaller platform and already feel much more responsibility to like coming through, linking my sources in the description, talking about all these things, actually thinking about what the fuck I'm going to say every week. Actually, when I have a politician on, which we've had now, actually thinking about what I'm going to talk to them about and pressing them on certain things. Not pressing them maybe even on whether or not they're going to go after criminals because they've already bought the false premise that every illegal is a criminal.
Yeah. Or that there were even that many criminals to begin with.
Yes.
Like, you can look at the stats. Nobody hides this information from you.
No, it's very public. In fact, Joe Biden wanted that information to be public so that they could say they're doing things about immigration. Like, man, if only people could just pay attention to politics.
Yeah, that's a tough get, though.
That is really tough get. That's a really tough get.
Anyways, moving on to our next topic here. We got to talk about ICE.
Yeah.
We got to talk about ICE. We got to talk about the raids that have been going on still in LA, and maybe a little bit of hope in terms of what we can do politically against ICE.
Oh,
because I do think abolishing ICE is going to be the moderate position here.
It's got to be
in the next election.
It has to be.
Yeah. So over the past few weeks, ICE has continued doing their operations in Los Angeles, but have received a lot less coverage than when the protests first kicked off, and we had those cool images of the dude on the dirt bike with the Mexican
hell
flag
yeah,
and whatnot.
dude.
Immigration raids continued through the 4th of July, with ICE rounding up more than 1,600 people over that holiday weekend. Included in those kidnapped in these operations were 2 people working at a car wash that had been there for decades, and a food vendor in front of a Target. Are we getting the criminals?
Yeah. Where are the criminals here?
Yeah.
Where are the criminals here? The criminals selling, I don't know, like fruit in front of Target.
These dudes went to work on 4th of July.
The criminals washing your car.
Working
on the weekend. A holiday weekend.
On a holiday. But last Monday, ICE also ICE once again descended upon LA, this time in a show of force in MacArthur Park while being escorted by military personnel.
Like, how much of like a show of force can you do? Like, you're ICE and you're trying to step out and trying to show people that you're this big bad agency that are really going to do everything when you need like a military escort to do it.
You need a military escort to defend you.
Like, who's showing force?
Yeah. You saw the pictures, right, of them on like horseback and shit?
That shit was stupid.
It was stupid. The DOD told news outlets that 90 armored personnel were involved in this operation, all members of the California National Guard. From ABC7, quote, the operation included some 17 Humvees, 4 military cargo trucks, and 2 military ambulances.
Like, how is this not the military engaging in civilian law enforcement?
Yeah, and it's a waste of resources. Because, like, if you are going after criminals, they're not just going to be doing crime in broad daylight in MacArthur Park.
No, I'm saying, and it's like they walk through a park with nobody there. They sweep the park. Like, you ever been to like Fort Lauderdale over spring break? You know what I'm saying? Like every day at like when the sun's about to like go down or whatever, at like 6 o'clock, they have the cop horses or the horse cops come through and like just sweep the entire beach. It's like what they were doing here.
Yeah.
There's nobody in the fucking park.
Yeah, no, it's just a show of force. It's meant to intimidate people, of course. This was a much smaller group, obviously, than the thousands that were deployed about a month ago to LA. But I think it's still pretty insane. And it's obviously a political stunt, right? Yeah. Because like ICE and like the military were videoed just marching through MacArthur Park, like you said, doing these like military style sweeps. Again, as if criminals are just like hanging out in the park in broad daylight. It's just not happening.
They're literally LARPing, but this time with like real military gear.
Yeah. The ACLU filed a lawsuit about these raids specifically that have been happening, the one that happened in the MacArthur Park and surrounding areas, and a judge temporarily blocked the raids, I think as of yesterday, on the accusation that ICE is just straight up racially profiling people. Who would have guessed? From The Guardian, I have a quote here on this case specifically, quote, "The order stops agents from using factors including apparent race or ethnicity, speaking Spanish or English with an accent, presence at a particular location, e.g. Bus stop, car wash, tow yard, day labor or pickup site, agricultural site, etc., as reasons to stop somebody." So previously they were using those as reasons to stop somebody.
Yeah, that's just what they would do.
Yeah. Also, make no mistake about MacArthur Park, by the way. Apparently this is known as a community that is openly inviting to immigrants. Like it's a high immigrant dense population, also a pretty diverse population. So like, there's a reason ICE was there doing a show of force.
So they were intimidating.
They were purposely
intimidating a local community that just wants to invite people in.
Yeah, and this is also one of the reasons, this like the existence of racial profiling here is also one of the reasons that even if you are a U.S. citizen, even if you have no family members that are immigrants in any real way, ICE might come for you too, because they just profile people, right? Mm-hmm. If you look a certain way, if you're wearing certain kinds of clothes, or if you are you speak in a certain accent or something like that, they might still come and pick you up. And I bring this up because I've been seeing some discourse since these mass deportations have kicked off, related to the election, saying stuff like, well, if Latinos went out and voted for Trump, then why should I care about these deportations?
Because it's bad, dog.
It's bad, right? We should be morally consistent. First of all, wicked generalization. If undocumented people are getting deported here, they didn't vote because they can't. Also, let's not generalize to a population based on how some people act within that population. I think that's a bad thing to do. But also, as I said, like, ICE has been racially profiling. They know that like Haitian immigrants look different from Venezuelan immigrants. And if they're profiling just based on these random characteristics, you could get grabbed too. So even if you don't give a fuck about other people, look how it's come back to you so quickly.
Oh, fucking absolutely, dude. The whole situation is insane. And it's like, there needs to be quicker legal action when it comes to this, because it's like they get away with this profiling because ICE is showing up to these sites and refusing to like display warrants when asked by anybody. I saw a video of them pulling up on like a healthcare office and people saying, you can't come in here, where's your fucking warrant? And they just barge in anyway and just grab people. They're just smashing and grabbing. Like there needs to be ways to actually like hold these officers accountable. And it needs to happen quicker. Yeah. Because what they're doing, frankly, just like can't be legal. There's no fucking way it's legal to just walk into these things. Obviously not if they're profiling people, which is already illegal. Just walking in, just grabbing anybody that speaks Spanish or looks brown or is sitting in front of a Home Depot because they speak Spanish and look brown.
Yep.
And do that.
Yeah. No, it's bad.
It's bad. It's really bad.
It's bad. And I think that your positions, your political positions should sort of transcend any gripes you have with electoral outcomes. I think you should care about things because they're good or because they're bad.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, look, they might come for you too, and you should know that. So keep that in mind.
In some instances, they have grabbed U.S. citizens. They have even if it's not detain them forever and deport U.S. citizens, because like obviously that would be a massive scandal. Like they've grabbed them, they've stopped them for a little bit. They've given U.S. citizens trouble because they are profiling U.S. citizens and refusing to display warrants. There was that piece of audio that came out like at this point, like a month or two ago, of an ICE guy pulling up and be like, "Oh, this is the wrong guy. Grab him anyway." Yeah. And they put him in the fucking truck and kidnapped him.
Well, and I think U.S. citizens have been deported. They've been like kids that have gone with parents that have been deported.
Yes.
And I think Maxwell Frost went to Alligator Alcatraz, and he said he heard someone in the back, even though he wasn't allowed in, but he heard somebody yelling like, "I'm a U.S. citizen. I shouldn't be in here." Yeah. And who knows if they're right? Like who knows if that person's actually a U.S. citizen? But the fact that we have to question it because of how haphazard these ICE raids have been should tell you something about where we are right now.
The fact that we have no idea because they're not allowing any oversight, even on like who they have in these places, we really just don't know. For a while, they weren't listing any of the people that they'd sent to CSOT. They weren't listing any of the people that they were deporting, doing these third country deportations with. And they're not even allowing members of Congress to do their constitutionally stated function of oversight. They're not allowing Maxwell Frost into the facility.
Yeah, he's a Florida congressman.
He's supposed to be allowed into the facility. It's federally funded. That's what he's doing, oversight. They just opened the door and let him look in. It's bullshit.
I also learned, I was reading an article about the ICE facility that they're building in Michigan, and I learned that apparently ICE detention isn't supposed to be punitive. They rely on like private prisons to do most of their holding. Like 90% of the detention centers ICE has is like privately managed corporate, like the Geo Group and private prison companies manage that kind of shit.
Worst people in the world.
But because undocumented immigration is a civil offense, it's not supposed to be like punitive imprisonment. It's just supposed to be holding for deportation. But obviously we are so far away from that right now.
Yeah, they are imprisoning these people. They don't even know if they can deport some of these people.
Yeah.
Some of these people had deportation withholding or orders blocking deportation to certain places, like the very famous Kilmar Baker Garcia case, which is still fucking popping off, which is still going crazy because the administration can't admit they're wrong in any way.
Yeah.
They're just smashing and grabbing.
The fact that 70% of people currently detained by ICE right now out of like the 60,000 have no criminal records.
Yeah.
They haven't been charged with the crime. They haven't done anything wrong, and yet they're being held in what is functionally a prison. Or for some of them, in a fucking concentration camp.
Alligator Auschwitz concentration camp. And it's crazy because on that same visit Maxwell Frost went on, I think a couple conservatives went on, and obviously Maxwell Frost comes out, he talks about how there's like cages of 36 people packed in like sardines with 3 toilets where the sink is on top of the toilet, so you have to fucking brush your teeth where you shit. It's just generally bad conditions. That's what Maxwell Frost came away with. But then the conservatives that were on the visit said, oh, there was AC. Brother, that's crazy. Yeah, in fucking Auschwitz, you were able to go and get fresh air. Like, there's a bit more going on here than whether or not there's AC in these tents or whatnot.
Well, if there was no AC, it would be even worse.
It'd just be a death
because
camp.
They're in the Everglades. Yeah. Like, what the fuck do you expect? But all of this for this week culminates in a tragic story out of Ventura County, California. Border Patrol and ICE were conducting a raid on a farm facility known as Glass House Farms that grows cannabis and some vegetables as well. Keep in mind, of course, that weed is legal in the state of California. Yes. In the raid, they arrested some 200 people, and 1 man died during this raid. Jamie Alanis, the man who died during this raid, was someone who had worked for the farm for 10 years, according to some reports, who was trying to hide or flee during the raid, something like that, and ended up falling off of a roof and dying. DHS says that Alanis was not listed in the criminal warrant, which is what was used to arrest the other 200 people, but Alanis was a provider for his family back in Mexico, so it's not clear exactly what his immigration status was. And this isn't me saying that like ICE directly killed this guy, right? Like this wasn't an execution. But if ICE wasn't there, if they hadn't purposely cultivated an intimidating presence, this man would not have died.
And it's not even just if ICE wasn't there. Even if ICE had conducted themselves in a humane manner in the past couple of months, then this wouldn't have happened. If ICE showed up to places and grabbed people they had warrants for and didn't pull up with 30 goddamn dudes in an APC and military fatigues, then we wouldn't have to worry about people doing this. Yeah. If ICE wasn't profiling every single brown person they came across and threatening to detain them, we wouldn't have to worry about something like this. Yeah. That's just how it is. It's kind of like how we had NOAA cuts that directly affected the response going on in the Texas flash floods, and so people died because of it. There are lines that you can directly trace between this tragedy of somebody dying and the policies and how ICE conducts themselves.
Yeah, and it's specifically, and this is the first person that has died during an ICE raid specifically, by the way. Like, people have died in ICE, like when ICE had custody over them or ICE was holding them in a detention facility, but this is the first person that died during a raid. And like I said, this doesn't happen if ICE doesn't show up. But to your point, if they hadn't purposefully created an environment where documented people and even citizens that just don't look white weren't actively afraid of them, then this shit doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's all purposeful. They want people to be afraid of them. That's why they post on fucking Instagram once a week fucking ASMR video of people in shackles being led onto a plane.
So genuinely insane.
That's why they want you to be afraid of them. They are purposefully cultivating an intimidating and frightful presence so that people will try to run from them, so that they can get as many people as possible, and so that they can just hurt themselves in the process. If that's not intentional, then I don't know. I'm waiting for some other kind of explanation for it.
Yeah.
So, not to mention, of course, the obvious injustice of just arresting 200 people that have been peacefully working at this California business.
Yeah.
Why are the business owners not getting in trouble rather than the immigrants?
Once again, I don't think drug traffickers are coming across the border to sell fentanyl on the side while they put in a 60-hour work week at a farm. Like that's not what's going on. Yeah. These people aren't coming in. The people who go to work at farms, of all places, are not coming in to poison your community. In fact, they're coming in to uplift it. Maybe inadvertently, but at the end of the day.
And I saw some commentary that was like, during this raid, ICE found like, I don't know how many, like a couple of kids that were working at this farm functionally, like child laborers.
Yeah.
And that's bad, right? I condemn that. But the solution isn't to deport them and their parents. It's to have the state come in, maybe arrest the business owner and charge them with some crimes, and then make sure they're like taken care of and not being exploited, right? Because there's a broader social, economic, legal system that is exploiting these people, that is pushing them into a position where they work undocumented for less pay while their kids also have to work just so that they can, like, you know, put food on the table at the end of the day. But we're not doing anything to address that.
No.
We are just kicking them out of the country and waiting till we can find the next business that's doing that, while not actually punishing the business owner.
We're not saying this is sad. We need to eliminate the culture of exploitation that says this. We're saying we're instead lumping this child in with criminals and throwing them in a concentration camp.
Yeah.
What a lovely country we have here. What a principled immigration system we have here.
Yeah, in my ideal world, if somebody was exploiting their workers this way, the state would come in, and especially if it's like something essential like agriculture, right? Like you need the food to continue to be produced. So the state could come in, just take over production in that area and make sure that people are paid well while the business owner goes to jail.
Or facilitate the finding of a buyer.
Yeah, of
like
course.
Just put them somewhere else. Because that's bad.
And we know Republicans don't care about this because they're actively loosening child labor laws in states like Florida. So rather than undocumented kids being the ones to work there, or maybe even U.S. citizens if they were like born here through birthright citizenship, but rather than being a brown kid that works at this farm, it could be a white American teen that works at this farm. So, not great. But lastly, on ICE, actually, I think, are we going to talk about the
we got to talk about a DHS Expo.
So penultimately on ICE, then I suppose, some new polling has revealed that the public has basically flipped on their support of Trump's immigration policies. And okay, this is just one poll, so take it with a grain of salt. Polling is for the devil and whatnot, and from the devil. And we know that the median voter loves to flip-flop. Like, that's just how it goes. But I do think it's interesting to take a look at. And if anything's indicative of public opinion, it's got to be polling, right? Like, that's the only way we have to measure it. But a recent Gallup poll showed that support for immigration broadly has increased since 2024 among both Democrats and Republicans. In June 2024, only about 39% of Republicans thought immigration was good for the country as a whole, and that number is now up to 64%. According to Gallup. So maybe some daylight?
Every day, I'm more and more vindicated in my position that Alyssa Slotkin, in her response to the State of the Union address, saying that she wanted to saying she, quote, looked forward to working with Trump on immigration, I feel more and more vindicated in my hatred of that.
Yeah. Or just more and more vindicated in my disgust with the Democrats' immigration policy basically being Republicans are right, but Trump is just too chaotic.
Yes.
Trump because that's basically what it was.
Like, we don't have a better system in place to do the things that Trump wants to do.
Democrats have basically said that, like, Republicans are right on immigration because the country is, like, fearful of immigrants right now.
Yeah.
So we're just going to be conservative, but we won't be Trump on the issue.
No, because, Democrats' position ends up being we need to do the same things that Trump wants to do, but with more bureaucracy and slower.
Yeah.
And, of course, nobody is going to rock with that message.
Yeah. Like,
God damn.
Does this shift in polling translate to, like, meaningful political change or political action? I don't know. Probably not. But it's at least evidence that public opinion can change, and it can be weaponized against conservative positions. Because if it can change this quick, because people have like a broad understanding of how violent Trump is being, then I think, imagine if Democrats were trying.
Man, there's a moment. There's a moment right there, and it's staring you in the face, and you just refuse to look at it. You're just looking past it. It's ridiculous.
Abolishing ICE is going to have to be the moderate position for 2026.
Yeah.
And for 2028.
There's so many ways that Democrats could, even though the Senate map is stacked against us in 2026, they could take it. If they were a real political party with a disciplined and effective message, they could take it.
Yeah, like people have a sense for how openly violent Trump is being. Public opinion is basically flipping on immigration right now, even among Republicans. There's a very clear opening right here because of just how aesthetically violent, not to mention literally violent, the Trump immigration rates have been. So you can, I don't know, maybe do something about it, exploit the fissure that's happening in the party right now, but I don't have faith that they will. Even though, again, abolishing ICE should just be the middle of the road position on this.
Everybody hates ICE.
There's no redeeming them. Bask in the glorious light of Hiddo merchandise.
Absolutely.
We have so much on offer that you can find right now at headintheoffice.com. We got stickers, we got shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got everything you could possibly imagine. And it's divine, folks.
It's beautiful.
And it's one of the best ways you can support the show. So go and get some merch, bathe in the glory of the radiant Hiddo light, and support the show.
Support the show. We've got a variety of different colors. We've got blacks, we've got grays, and we've got green like money, most importantly. We love money here on this podcast.
So head over to headintheoffice.com, support the show, and get yourself some merch.
The only people that like ICE are people who show up to a DHS career fair, because ultimately on ICE, the last thing we wanted to talk about on the topic here today was this article that I found in N+1. It's like this just online publication, and basically the person who wrote this article went to a Department of Homeland Security career fair in, I believe, Virginia, just to see what was going on and talk to some of the people that wanted to interview to become ICE agents. And I took down some excerpts that I wanted to read for you from this article that just highlight the absurdity of this country and the banality of evil that we see running through the entire organization, and really exactly why ICE needs to be abolished. So to start, she's just describing like what's going on, kind of the set dressing that's going on. Quote, This is about a video that ICE was showing to entice people to show up. Quote, the ICE video began with jittery sepia-toned photographs of the Founding Fathers and the Federalist Papers, jumping ahead to immigrants arriving at Ellis Island, and from there to mugshots of the 9/11 attackers. Though the narration was inaudible, I believe that 9/11 was cited to justify the deployment of the men who appeared on screen next, the ICE agents arresting meatpackers with their hairnets still on. That's the recruitment video that they're playing.
A propaganda piece, yeah.
That couldn't be more American in like a derogatory way.
Yeah.
That is so insane. 9/11 had nothing to do with this.
Well, I mean, DHS and then ICE was created in the wake of 9/11, which I think is what they're trying to get at here.
I guess, man.
But to say that basically anything America did post 9/11 was justified or had a good outcome is fucking crazy.
But it's just like 9/11 attackers arresting a blue-collar worker. These things are not equal weight. These things are not on the same playing field. Once again, the immigrants that come to this country, maybe illegally, and come here to work awful jobs that nobody wants to fucking work, are not the people that are ruining communities.
They're not the people flying planes into the Twin Towers. Like, it's just not a thing that like your average undocumented immigrant's going to do.
Man, it's fucking sick. There was this other video that said, the author describes it as, quote, a solitary fascist marched through the center of the frame even as the setting changed around him. From secondhand store to airport to warehouse, he was everywhere, protected by his flak vest and holstered pistol. Just a video of just an ICE agent
lionizing
all of these places that they're going to deport people from. A secondhand store. This was never about immigrants. This is never about immigrants at all whatsoever. It's just about making you think you look cool while doing awful things.
Yeah, it's trying to aura farm while brutalizing minorities.
Yes, and here's the real
Nothing
meat.
more American than that.
I'm saying. Here's the real meat of the article is when they actually went up and talked to people who wanted to become agents. Quote, one of the ICE applicants I spoke with seemed to have an insatiable desire for conflict. In line with this hypothesis, all his life, he said, he had hoped to fight wars in Iraq or Afghanistan. Already great off the bat. He had hoped to deploy to the Middle East. My whole life, I always wanted to go deploy to Iraq or Afghanistan. Wicked start there. He joined the army hoping to fulfill the desire, but our foreign wars had wound down by the time of his enlistment.
How unfortunate.
And he never got a chance to fight abroad. He said his wife had almost been assaulted in Texas, and when she'd called the police, they arrested the man who turned out to be an illegal alien and who was promptly deported. He said he'd seen videos of a member of the Taliban getting into an argument at a fast food restaurant in California. That's just a lie.
That's just, can't
be fucking verified.
Making that up.
And that he wanted to join ICE to protect his family. Quote, this is his quote, "I learned all these skills in the army, smash and grab, site exploitation, and never got to use them," he said. "So I'm here to kind of do what I learned to do over there, but this time here defending my country."
You couldn't be more explicit about bringing the war home.
And it's also just like literally the Imperial boomerang.
Mm-hmm. It's happening in one man right now.
In one man, he just like said it out loud, like no theory involved here. Mm-hmm. This man has never heard that term. This man has never read theory, but he's like, yeah, I want to use the tools that we use to oppress other people, other countries, to oppress people. And I want to oppress people at home and abroad. And because I can't do it abroad, it ought to be at home. I have an insatiable thirst for violence.
Also, way to just like generalize one bad experience your wife had.
Yeah.
My wife was attacked by one undocumented person, therefore I need to protect my family from all of them. And I'm going to do that by joining the government's task force to kick them all out.
And that's just an example of like the worst kind of guy that goes and joins ICE. Like the character of a caricature.
Well, to be clear, I think that's the average guy that goes to join ICE.
That's like what we talk about when we're talking about ICE agents. So I'm not necessarily shocked by those statements, as insane as they are. It's not surprising to me that guys who want to join ICE and do things that are so inhumane act like this. What surprises me is the guys that came next, right? The article goes to detail how they spoke to a, quote, gregarious New York police officer who was fed up with patrolling Times Square and all the, quote, savages there. Another applicant said he was sick of installing office furniture in properties subleased by the United States Marines. A blind man I spoke to who was hoping to find a data-centric position with ICE said he was sick of his current job collecting child support payments from delinquent parents. At present, he said, his hands were tied because the law in his state forbade him from sending in sheriffs to collect money from deadbeat dads. In a linning brasso voice, he told me that, quote, in college, I wrote several papers about the harm of illegals in America.
Oh my God.
These are dudes that are
Hitler
just...
youth.
Yeah, I'm saying. These are dudes that are just bored.
Yes.
These are dudes that are just bored, and it gets worse. The last applicant I spoke to said he didn't care much about the politics of ICE. It was just that he thought his taxes shouldn't be used to buy school supplies for illegal alien children.
Oh my God.
What he was really interested in, he said, was parlaying his wages as a deportation officer into buying Airbnbs.
Oh my God.
My classmates came up in the same environment as me, but now they're off posting photographs of Lamborghinis on Instagram, standing on balconies of waterfront apartments. That's the two worst things you can be combined, a landlord and an ICE agent. What are we doing, man?
Bro's going for like the lowest morality score ever.
What the fucking hell are we doing? His dad had also been in ICE and had broken down the doors of a Queens family that had just sat down to dinner when he stormed in. They all happened to be wearing Obama shirts and hats and were eating off of Obama dishware. Once in the early part of his career, the man had gotten to travel to Southeast Asia on various deportation flights and had sent his son photographs of a beautiful waterfall in Cambodia. I was like, what the fuck, Dad? The young man said. I thought you were supposed to be deporting people. So many of the people that pulled up to this career fair that the article writer talked to just wanted to join ICE because they wanted to travel. Mm-hmm. That's it.
They're fucking bored, dude.
They wanted to travel. And some of the ICE agents that were there billed it as, oh, you get to travel. Somebody talked about, I think, how either their dad or themselves was in ICE, and they got to travel to like over 50 different countries and sit at 3- and 4-star hotels all over the world. Mm-hmm. There was a Customs and Border Patrol agent that tried to get people to join CBP by saying, my favorite part of my job is because I get to ride horseback through the mountains. It's just, these people are just bored. There's so many people that are just fundamentally like not satisfied with their lives that they're willing to do the most evil thing and completely compromise their morals. Or I guess compromise their morals isn't the right thing to say because there are clearly no guiding moral principles in the first place, but are willing to do whatever just to make their lives suck less because they have no purpose in what they're currently doing.
Well, it's these dudes are bored. It's these dudes totally lack purpose and they're probably miserable because living in the suburbs is misery.
Yes.
And there's an entire media apparatus constructed around them in right-wing media that has been designed to scare them of people in the cities. that is made to scare them about, black people doing crime or brown people doing crime in the cities. And so when they are confronted with what should I do with my life now that I'm totally bored and I'm terrified of minorities, of course they're going to go to ICE.
Yes, dude,
that's what you do.
It's crazy. There was another agent that said he traveled with his ambulance all over the world, loading it into massive C-17 airplanes and then sleeping beside it midair. He said it was almost like camping. Like, brother.
Oh,
like,
man.
This is what happened. This is what happens when people are so fundamentally alienated from their labor that they can find no fulfillment in the thing that they have to do for most of their day. So they have to go and look for something that may be awful so they can get some form of excitement. So they can feel like in either they're doing something because they've been fed a lie and think that they're protecting the country from immigrants, or so that they can travel and actually experience the world, which is something they can't do with their current job because either they don't get PTO or they don't get paid enough money. Fundamentally, this is an issue of alienation in the labor force.
That's what I'm saying is like part of it is just some of them are bloodthirsty freaks. Yeah. Like that's just, that just is what it is. But a lot of it is that people have chased after the life that they were told would make them happy, which is living in the suburbs with a massive pickup truck that doesn't fit in the garage. But they're miserable doing that. So instead they got to go brutalize brown people.
Yep.
Because we haven't presented in our economy a way to actually be satisfied with what you're doing when you are so mortified of being inside of a city.
Yeah, I used to be an accountant, and I would just like sit at my desk all day, and I started to get back problems. So I decided to join ICE so I could be on my feet and get to walk around a little bit and whatnot. And you really get to work on your physical endurance when you're wrestling around with these people trying to provide for their families.
Yeah, people so thoroughly lack purpose because we don't have an economy that's built to deliver you purpose. We have an economy built to paywall you from the things that you need to survive, and then force you to labor in order to get those things. And then when you do get those things and you're able to buy extra shit, we sell you a bunch of shit that doesn't actually make you happy. So
what alienation does to a motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. Alienation makes you an ICE agent. It's true. Alienation makes you join the Gestapo. And I think like an article like this is so profoundly important because there are a lot of people, like I would say like moderate liberals and whatnot, that are like, oh man, like everybody hates ICE agents right now. Like it must be really hard to be them right now. It's not.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of articles that's like morale is super low with ICE. We can get those numbers lower. We can make that worse, dude.
Lower. Like it's not. If people feel enticed to join ICE because of like travel benefits, I don't think we should feel bad for these people. If somebody wants to join ICE so that they can get to like go spend time at a hotel in California while they ruin somebody's life, or in Cambodia while they ruin somebody's life, I don't feel bad that people are making fun of them on the streets. I don't feel bad that somebody's like, take your mask off, pig.
Yeah, we wouldn't have sympathy for somebody in the Gestapo. Like this is a choice that you made. You didn't have to work for them. Right, like some people are like, "Oh, look, evil. It's capable. Anybody is capable of doing evil. Look how many people looked the other way when the trains went by in Berlin or whatever." These people are joining the effort of doing the Holocaust.
And it's also like it's not even like they could just go around and be like, "Oh, I was working for ICE under Joe Biden, and now I'm just following orders to keep my job." It's people seeking a new job. It's people seeking a new job after the bad press has already happened, after the lid has already been blown off how awful this operation has been the whole time. They're like, "Yeah, but like I'll get to travel."
When there's gonna be a lot of job openings. I think maybe immediately. I don't know when the ICE funding kicks in, but I would guess that's something that
they want to hire like 10,000 new agents.
Yep.
And not only do they get travel benefits, but they get more money and retention bonuses and signing bonuses now. What the fuck?
Yeah, and DHS gets a lot of money under this bill, and it's just going to be replicating more and more of these fucking guys.
Yeah.
Not even just guys, though, because in that article, it was like guys, girls, and it was like racially diverse.
In the article, it said that it was an incredibly diverse crowd of people waiting to apply.
That's how you know it's just alienation.
The rot has consumed.
Yeah. It's alienation, and it's this giant media apparatus that makes a fuck ton of money convincing you to hate brown people, convincing you that is the source of your problems, when really the source of your problems is a lack of community facilitated by capitalism.
I promise you do not feel fulfilled because an immigrant moved down the street from you. You don't feel fulfilled because like there's nothing going on.
Well, and it's like the undocumented immigrants are not in your like, upper middle class suburb.
They're not in the suburbs. No.
They're not competing with you for housing.
And man, the suburbs really can't be hell.
No, they're terrible.
When you went to Hocking Hills the other weekend, did you drive down that really long like highway but not highway, and eventually it was like a lot of farms, and then eventually just suburbs just popped up kind of in the middle of it?
And there was a lot of that, yeah.
It was a lot of that, and every time I came upon that, I was like, this looks like hell. It was just amongst like a plain surrounded by like farms miles across. It was just these massive sprawling just complexes of houses that all looked the same with no fucking trees. Just it felt like a violation of the land surrounding it because this suburb was just like put right there. Ohio moment, you know what I'm saying? But that's the thing that exists everywhere. But like suburbs really can just be hell on earth.
Yeah, yeah, and they're so like isolating. You know what I mean? Everyone's got like their own. There's often like no sidewalks, or if there are sidewalks, you're just like walking through somebody's driveway.
And like in a place like that, you got to drive like 20 minutes to get groceries.
Yeah,
and even in like some places, like in Texas, I know like there's a lot of neighborhoods that are like connected to different neighborhoods and offshoots of different neighborhoods, and you have these sprawling just like areas of suburbs with a bunch of different subdivisions. It takes like 12 minutes just to get out of your house and get on the main road.
Urban sprawl, yeah.
That's hell.
It is hell.
That is hell.
And it's also very inefficient use of resources.
Yeah, I can't stand not being able to just go, you know?
Imagine if we took everyone that lives in those houses, stacked them up on top of each other into like a mega apartment building, and then put a little cafe in the bottom.
Or
Wouldn't
just
that be cool?
Do a little 5/1 moment, you know what I'm saying? Or
put a
just
gym
like
in the bottom.
Alter zoning so that you can have like a restaurant in the neighborhood.
Yeah, you can do that too.
And the restaurant can look like a house. Like things like that can work, and things like that are actually cool. And then you build real, genuine community around those areas.
Yeah, but like living in the suburbs makes you a psychopath. Like I firmly, if I'm to do some like armchair psychoanalysis, I do think living in the suburbs, chasing after what you've been told your entire life will make you happy, and then it not making you happy and you feel miserable, it does make you crazy.
And in a lot of cases, you get a job that you hate, or you get a job that's safe and that you hate, or that you dislike, or that fucking kills you on the inside, so that you can have this life, so that you can buy a house, so you can achieve what everybody says you're supposed to achieve. And then you get it, and you realize you still fucking hate your life, and you still hate your fucking job, and now you're in a house that you hate, in a place that's inconvenient and so far away from anything, and you just got fired from your job, and now you got to get a new job an hour away, and now you got to sell your house and look for a new house. Like what has been sold as the American dream is low-key just hell right now.
Yeah.
And I want to own a house. I want to save up and like be able to own a home. I just don't want to own a home like in the suburbs.
Yeah, and it's like lacking any understanding of class politics here. Of course, it will lead you to being absolutely insane.
Yes.
And of course, if you're not doing class politics, then you don't recognize how the patriarchy has misled you into believing that masculinity is defined by your violence and aggression. And of course, you want to be an ICE officer if you're violent and aggressive.
Of course.
And then of course, there's no understanding that like there's no understanding of like, you know, racial liberation, or the fact that black people and brown people have been demonized for all of U.S. history. It all plays into each other and makes ICE agents evil.
And it's like you just like end up fucking hating your life at that point, and like you're so angry and you're so busy with work that when you fucking turn on the TV, you hear Democrats and Republicans saying that it's the brown guy's fault.
Yep.
And you're like, well, fuck, it must be the brown guy's fault, because low-key, a lot of these people don't have time to look into these issues.
Well, and that's way easier than admitting that you got everything wrong your entire life.
Exactly. That's way easier than deconstructing class politics without an apparatus that is teaching you how to do those things, without a guiding hand that's telling you this is what's going on. Because it is really hard to just stumble upon a path that will guide you into understanding your position within the class hierarchy than it is to turn on the TV, see Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and CNBC say it's the brown guy. And then you're like, well, fuck, it's the brown guy. We got to get rid of him.
At the State of the Union say it's the brown guy.
Then you're like, fuck, it really must be the brown guy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't rock with that.
Not to like exonerate any ICE agent that goes and does a bad thing, of course.
No.
Right? Like they're still making that individual decision. It's still a bad thing to do.
Yeah, there's still ways out of it.
But we're sort of recognizing the broader socioeconomic systems that put them in that position to begin with.
Understanding how people are manipulated into believing these things.
Yeah.
And getting so bored that they're willing to violate human rights to just feel something.
Yeah, brutalizing minorities because I'm bored.
Yes, precisely. Brutalizing minorities just to like feel something, but not because of the brutalizing minorities, but because then I get to travel. Then I get to go on a plane, and I get to post on my Instagram story the plane emoji.
And I get to leverage the money I make to get Airbnb. That person's just evil. There's no redeeming that person.
That person is the worst. That person's absolutely the worst. Oh, yeah, I want to be the Gestapo so I can eventually be a landlord. Man, it's like that one guy during the New York primary. There's this dude that I saw interviewed on like TikTok. He was wearing a Vote for Cuomo shirt. And in the interview, he's like, they gave me $200 to wear this. I had to do it. I voted for Zoran, but like they gave me $200. If you got a guy at the ICE convention that was like, yeah, you know, maybe I just want to get like some money and stack it up so that I can get a better place in life, still inexcusable, but like a little bit less inexcusable than the guy who said, I want to do this so I can get money so I can own people's house.
Yeah, no, this guy's only got evil ambitions. This dude's a lawful evil. Like, there's no redeeming them at that point. And I think a lot of ICE agents are like that, but I think there's many people that just have no sense of purpose. And you know, same thing for just joining like any sort of violent arm of the state. Same thing goes for police officers, 100%.
Same thing goes for those guys that we were talking about last week in at the GHF.
Yeah, the
U.S. security contractors.
Yeah. Like they're just very sad people that can only feel anything when they kill somebody else.
Which is calling mercenaries, because that's what like PMCs are, security contractors, is really just like a whitewashing of the whole situation.
Yeah.
That really is just like oh no, they're not mercenaries because it has a negative connotation. They're security contractors. That is so liberal.
Yep.
Man.
Overflow facilities. Instead of kids engaged.
Security officers, man, it's fucked up.
But I think that brings us to the end of this wonderful hit-o.
That does. Wonderful hit-o. Wonderful times. Go see Superman. And then come back to this episode and listen to our Superman rant if you didn't already, because it's a good movie. And Chuck Schumer needs to be like Lex Luthor.
Big on that. Chuck Schumer needs to be a hater.
But not like a Zionist, like a hater.
Yeah, leave a comment on our Spotify video.
Go for it, please.
Because we're doing Spotify videos now. It's who we are.
Let us know if you saw the clip.
Let us know if you saw the clip. Big on that 100%. And thanks for tuning in this week. Get us to our goal.
Get us to our goal, please. Just like how these wonderful people have laid the groundwork so that you can put us over the finish line, starting with Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Chrissy Beck, Mike Japlinski, Clayton Lefebvre, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Tari, Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Blueberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Eggers, Jeff Muzzy, Bagel Burrito, Cincy Elks, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Samsica 1, Colleen Cutsver, Yook, Jennifer DeVoe, Craw Fishing, Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Ted Cruz's Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cocker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Signs, Aaron and His Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Tailored for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Armando, Veronica AKAV, Raxon, Ash Smith, The Grotler, Murder in a Trench Coat, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Gon, Iguana Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C., Anna Valitic, KCC, Say Yes to Wes, August, Particular Pickman, Sir Caplot, Jake Size, Brendan is Egg, Froggy, Gumdrop,
Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Walls 3000, Chris T., Kishan Lala, Amanda R., Tyler J., Particulon, Memfrez, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Dew Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fitta Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Addy Book, Merlin, Cryobongi, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sajas, Majawat, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6-Inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Joshua Franklin, Southern Lefty, Lark 61, KC, Cannon Man, Troy H, Rark Muffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nix, Steven Schwartz, Sound Logic, Sleven, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. Another great way, if you listen this long, I know you'll listen to me.
Of course.
Another great way to help us grow the Patreon is to share the Patreon with your friends. If they're already Hit-O heads, ask them to become a patron.
And also consider that as this list grows, we contribute to Hit-O episode inflation. But what will never inflate is the price of a tier.
And that's big. The price of a tier, and then I start crying.
Precisely.
We'll see you on Thursday.
Have a great first half of the week.